Yeah, that's pretty close. All right, guys, welcome back. I'm back with Mel today. And thanks for coming on. I know I've asked like 10 times now, so I feel like I'm getting a little annoying because every time I ask, we have to like reschedule or I don't know, we run out of time to do it or something. So,
no, thank you for having me on. It's not a problem about rescheduling or anything. Usually it's me that causes that because I'm always working or I'm out of town or.
Well, the last like 4 times I said we were gonna do it, then like Thomas is like, "Hey, let's have a date night or something," and I'm like, "Okay." Like I'm fine with having date night, but then I already made other plans, so now I gotta cancel them. But
hey, that's part of life. Something comes up, and we gotta spend time with our others and things. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, if I'm ever getting annoying or you just don't want to do it, just tell me. But next week, Marissa said that she would do one with me, so we'll see how that goes. Marissa likes to talk, so I'm like, she would be a good one, I think, to have on. And it makes it more interesting for people to listen to. So.
Oh, I'm not interesting.
More interesting than me just talking to myself for an hour. But anyway, how you been? What have you been doing? I haven't seen you in like a week or something.
Well, I haven't been up for over a week.
Yeah, Thomas the other day, he was like, "God, I haven't seen Mel in a while." I was like, well, I think she's trying to save on gas or something.
Yeah, well, I've been kind of broke this past week, and honestly, I've been surviving, I've been having to take out of our account for the house, so I've been that broke.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
homeowner things. Mel bought a house, if you guys didn't already know that.
Yeah. Well, I guess we haven't updated them since last time I was on. So
yeah, that's right. Just barely. You hadn't had it yet.
Yeah, so we did buy the house. We are currently living in the house, and we are now living out here. We made our first home payment on it, finally, and it's a 45-minute drive from my house out to where I work, and having a truck and having some other issues with it where it just sucks gas just because it's a truck.
Yeah.
And it just sucks gas because of that for one main reason. And then it's got, the exhaust manifold is leaking. Causes more of a gas.
Yeah, your truck probably gets like 12 miles a gallon or something like that.
Somewhere in there, I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty good, but with that leak in it, it drops it. So, I could put gas in, say I just put gas in, and, I don't really know from, but say at Come and Go. I can put it in at Come and Go, and I can get down, I'll make it home, and then I'll make a run, let's see, I'll go to work the next day, and I'm already down to, I always get these wrong, but the line, after full, right before full. I'll be right there within a day, and I'm like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
Yeah, that's how my Chevy was, because it's got the fuel leak. It cost me $40 just to drive to work and back or something. It was awful.
Exactly, and I just put gas in that, Thursday or something. And so, that's why I haven't been up. That's why I asked you about how the flies stuff work, because I was like, I'm going to come up, do this, and do a few other things while I'm up there. I was going to actually come up yesterday, but, I ended up stopping at my dad's. I had a lot to do yesterday.
Yeah.
So, I was going to hang out with my dad's for a little bit, and then at 5, a coworker, he has a band, and he was playing out of his garage, and I was going to stop and see him, and then didn't end up happening. It was after 5 anyway. I ended up staying with my dad, talking to him, and then he and I ended up getting into an argument anyway. So I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I love you. Have a good night. I'll talk to you later. Yeah, exactly. I said, bye, I'm going home. I came home. I actually called him earlier anyway, so I'm like, he's fine. It was like nothing ever happened. Imagine that. So then I came home, talked to Joe a little bit, and of course, should hit the fan here, and we're fine. It was just stuff falling out of the fridge. It was one of those days,
Pissed him the fuck off.
Yes. And of course he's having vehicle issues too. So he's got his I think it's his caliper, his back. So he was having brake issues. Just replaced his front brakes. Still couldn't get his brakes to work. Turns out it was his back brakes.
Oh, of course.
Yep. And he's got a bad caliper on the one side.
Did he do it?
His brakes?
Yeah.
His front brakes, yeah. So he replaced his brakes, but his back brakes, he couldn't figure out what they were. Didn't know it was the back brakes.
Oh my God, Joe.
So
okay, you know Thomas is a mechanic, right? So if he ever needs a second set of eyes, gosh.
So the thing was, I am assuming he didn't even think to replace the back brakes or to look at the back brakes, because he just did the front ones, and then was like, "Why isn't it working?" And blah blah blah.
God.
He was getting so fed up. I'm like,
he probably just wasted a whole bunch of money on brakes that were fine
for his front ones.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know. But now the Expedition is due for front brakes. My truck is overdue for front brakes because my back ones are probably around 50%. Because when I got my truck, I had to replace the back ones. My front ones are, they're noisy.
Yeah.
But, so basically it was a bad day yesterday for him. And then I went out and I've been working on the chicken coop. So I sprayed that.
The front one? Or both of them?
This one right here. The back one doesn't really need a whole lot of work. The most I want to do... Yeah, the most I want to do with that is make a run on the outside. Kind of like how I'm, like, it's got that. It's probably going to be a little bigger than that until I get more supplies for it. But we're not getting chickens for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm getting ducks. I'm helping a friend out. Who's helping a friend out? Yeah. I didn't know if she offered to you or not.
Yeah, she did.
Okay, good. Because I was like, I don't know.
Well, I told her... She said she was giving a bunch to you, and she asked me if I, like, wanted any ducks. I was like, yeah, I guess if you have a few to get rid of, I'd take, not a lot, but I would take a few. But I told her I wanted adult ducks. I don't want baby ducks, because, like, I'm just sick of...
Babies?
Yeah, I like, can't, like, no matter what happens, I can't keep them alive. Or, like, I'll keep them alive until, like, early adulthood, and then, like, they'll just, something will happen, they'll just die.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I've gotten kind of fed up with, like... baby chicks, and I just take people's, like, grown chickens, because, like, some chicken people, like, they get a new flock of chickens almost every year, and they kind of, like, rotate out the flock. So the ones that are, like, 2 years old, they just butcher them and eat them, or they just rehome them. And, like, at 2 years old, a lot of chickens are still laying, like, every week, so they'll just, like, rehome them and stuff, and then I'll buy, like, those type of chickens, because we don't really eat our chickens, so even if they're only laying, like, every other day or something, it's fine.
Well, they're good for companionship, too, because, like, with ducks, they're very, so I've been listening to a lot of, like, videos and books. I found that you can listen to books on Spotify. I didn't know you could do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like, I have premium, so I was able to listen to a book about ducks. A duck about books. But I was listening about that because, like, I've never owned any sort of bird before.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be knowledgeable about it before just diving right into it. And I'm excited about them. Like, they're just like,
oh, they're so cute. And I think ducks are more fun than chickens because they're just cuter than chickens. And
they're social.
Yeah.
They're very friendly.
I don't know what happened with my last batch of ducks. I got a set of 4 from Tyson's last summer. And yeah, last summer, because I built my chicken coop last summer. And one of them died pretty much like right after I bring it home. And that happens sometimes. So I was like, whatever. But ducks aren't cheap either. They're like $8 a piece. So one died. And then slowly, like later, I kept them alive for a little while. But then one would just get like all lethargic and floppy, like really weak.
Ooh.
Like it was obviously sick. And then like the next day it would be dead. So I was like, ugh, that's annoying. So once they were big enough to go in with the chickens, like they got along with the chickens fine. They just couldn't like roost. They couldn't get up on the things. But then like the next one would like suddenly get all lethargic and floppy, and then it died. And like literally no reason why. Like I kept their like bin clean and stuff. They had food, they had water. Like I have no idea why they just like got sick and died. And then the last one I had, I fed the chickens like a whole bunch of tomatoes because like I think I got them for my mom when they were like cleaning up the garden for the year. Mm-hmm. So I'd bring home like like 2 grocery bags full of tomatoes, and I just dumped them out for the chickens. And the one duck loved them. Mm-hmm. But then the next day I came out and it was all lethargic and like it died.
What?
Yeah. So I was like, literally what the hell? It was almost full grown at that point. But so I started looking things up like, are tomatoes poisonous to ducks, and like can, you know, ducks overdose on tomatoes. I don't know. And I really couldn't find anything that, like, tomatoes were bad for them at all. So I have no idea why it died. I was like, fuck this, I'm not getting ducks again.
So yeah, I was looking in a lot of, basically almost anything that you grow, they can pretty much eat in your garden.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, well, that's great, because I want to have a bigger garden.
Yeah.
Like, I want to grow squash. I've never had squash, but I want to grow squash.
I love growing squash.
Really? Because I really want to, like, start growing squash, pumpkin, melons.
I've done it a few times.
I want a big garden. And I keep telling Joe, I want to do, like, homesteading stuff. Like, I want to...
Homesteading TikTok is, like, a big rage these days.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
See, like, I was starting to post a little bit about that. We now have... Well, I just made it today for the page, so, like, our own. But,
yeah.
You know, so... And that's something I want to do, is eat off our own produce here.
I love doing squash. Especially the nice thing about squash is they keep forever. I mean, I just gave the chickens 2 squash off our counter that I have had since last fall. I grew them last year. And they just keep. Like, they don't rot. I mean, it takes months and months and months for them to rot.
Really?
Yeah, so they'll just keep forever. So, that's funny. If you bring them in and, like, out here where it's kind of cooler and stuff, like, you can eat them months later. And they'll still be fine on the inside. So
that's cool.
That's nice about
like,
squash. Pumpkins rot a little faster, but, like, spaghetti squash, they'll keep forever.
See, I know with pumpkin, especially if you carve into them, like, they rot so quick. But I've noticed, so, like, we got quiet. Sorry about my dogs. But I know, like, last year we got a couple pumpkins with, you know, the idea of we were going to carve into them last year. We didn't. I think we actually ended up getting 3. 2 of them we were going to carve, didn't do it. And then we had another one, we ended up shooting into it. Or we ended up keeping the other 2, and then before they got super bad, we shot into them or something, I don't know. But,
yeah.
With the pumpkins, like, they stayed good for so long when they're not carved into. Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. It was... When did we get them? I think it was around October, beginning of October, surprisingly. And it lasted all the way until, like, almost November. Like, almost to beginning first week of November. I think it was around trapping season. That's first week. So, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised on that.
Yeah, and even, like, those pumpkin, like, the... You know, the little tiny ones are, like, pie pumpkins that you can make pumpkin pie with. Or, like, they're more for, like, baking and making bread and stuff. But even the big ones, like, I've made pumpkin pie with the big pumpkins before. You just, like, have to cook it down and then blend it up into, like, a slurry kind of. But, or you can, like, just chop it up and put it in, like, stew. Or you can eat it like acorn squash, too.
Ooh.
So it's actually kind of good. It's not bad.
See, I wonder, because you know, like, how there's pumpkin, the pure or puree, however you pronounce it, and that's really good for dogs if they have upset stomach or, like, loose poop, you know?
Yeah, you can make dog treats and stuff with it.
Exactly, and, like, I would love to be able to do stuff like that at home, and it's, like, the more stuff we have here, that's why I was, like, the chicken, this big chicken coop, I would love to have the chickens there, produce our own chickens, eat our own chickens, and I was even talking with my dad yesterday, and he's like, you're not going to eat that many chickens. I'm like... Maybe I won't eat all those chickens, but it will go in the fridge, in the freezer, because we actually got left of deep freeze, and we were asked.
You did?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's not as big as the one we have in here.
Still so helpful, though.
Exactly. And I might even get another one, because, you know, I trap, and a lot of people might not know what that is. It's for harvesting, you know, it's a little different.
Trapping raccoons and beavers and stuff.
And I might not do that a lot, because I have to ask people around up here, because I'm not going all the way down there and doing it.
You can trap at my place all you want. I saw 2 fucking big ass raccoons run across our driveway last night.
If I'm gonna do that, I have to get DPs, which are dog proofs, because I don't want to catch your cats.
Oh.
Because the traps I have, I will either get them by the foot, or I will get them and you will never see your cats again.
Yeah, that'd be
to
good.
keep it PG.
Yep.
So,
well, if you can get them, you can have them.
Okay.
Because they piss me off.
The only downside with raccoons is so actually raccoons are actually open season all the time now, because
because they're such a nuisance.
Yeah, well, it's there's not like, they put a bounty out for them now, so there's the price for them for fur harvesting is basically non-existent. You get maybe $3 for a pelt.
Oh.
And you can get the nicest pelt and get maybe $7 for that pelt. Like a jumbo, which is like, I don't know, maybe almost the size of your leg. Long-wise, big, dark, beautiful. And, I mean, they can give you a really good price for it, but you're going to be lucky if you do. And it depends on the buyer and what they are getting.
Sure.
So,
it's not worth that much.
Yeah. Prices have not been good because it goes over to Russia and Ukraine and places over there. And for the last, like, several years, it's just gone down and down and down and down. It's like the biggest... Let's see, skunk and coyote, I think, was a good one. But skunk is like $5 a pelt.
Really?
Yeah, and that's a good price.
Jeez.
So that's why when I got that skunk, what was it? 2 years ago? Did I go last year? I don't know. 2 years ago, whenever it was. Mm-hmm. I was like, I ain't tossing this bitch out, even though, pardon my language, but even though, like, it sprayed me.
Oh.
I got an F-250. Joe was not happy about that. And then he wasn't happy I left it in the garage for... several days, because, like, I had to wash it, like...
Well, yeah. You gotta do something with it.
We have to do, like, a Dawn... You know what you do for your dogs if they get sprayed? The Dawn dish soap, baking soda. I had to do that, like, 3 times.
Yeah. I bet, because to get it out of your own hair and stuff.
Yep. But I had to do it for the skunk.
Yeah.
To get it out of it.
We had to wash the skunk.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
Because you don't want to turn that in, and they probably won't take it if it's not clean, and...
Oh, true. Jeez.
But it whitens the white on them.
Uh-huh.
Oh. But they are bigger than what you think they are, and heavier than what you think they are. And it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, they don't look big.
No. But
anyway, what were you saying about your deep freeze and stuff?
Oh yeah. My deep freeze. So they had actually asked us, the realtor, before we had got the house, or around the time we had gotten the house, had asked if we wanted it, because otherwise they'll take it, but they're not like.
They didn't want to move it.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. They didn't want to, like, deal with it. So he's like, Joe asked me, do I want it? And I'm like,
hell yes.
Exactly. Because he's like, do you want it? I'm like, well, I could use it for my trapping, or I could use it for fish and keep these ones empty, or less of that. And so I'm like, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. So now it needs clean. It freaking stinks.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad. And he's like, yeah, it's going to be like, I'm like, well, we need to clean it.
Yeah.
So it's sitting out in the garage, and we just got to clean it, get it plugged in, make sure it works.
Mm-hmm. You can fit a lot of birds in that.
Exactly.
I mean, even a small one. Like, my parents bought me and Zach a small deep freeze, like, when we first moved into our, like, first rental house. And it was so nice because he was a deer hunter. So, like, when he would hunt deer or whatever and get it butchered, we'd just throw it in there. Or, like, even now... me and Thomas still have it, and like we buy up the clearance meat, like I was telling you that one day, we buy up the clearance meat at Walmart and we just throw it in the freezer, and it's there for like, we don't leave it in there that long, but like a month later, if we need something to make for dinner or whatever, we just grab something out of there. And yeah, if you can like butcher your own chickens and stuff, they'll stay good a long time.
Oh heck yeah.
And you could sell the ones, like if you have 50 and you're not going to eat all those before they get freezer burnt or bad, you could sell them.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing, like I was telling my dad, I'm like, a lot of people use their own food, like, their food that they harvest on their own property. Like, a lot of people get rabbits to feed their dogs. A lot of people get chicken and use it to feed their dogs. Granted, I don't feed Jackson Sarah chicken, because I'm pretty sure they're allergic to it. Chicken is probably the number one most common food that dogs are allergic to, especially German Shepherds. So I
didn't know that.
Yeah, at least in my opinion, from what I look up, and a lot of German Shepherds are allergic to chicken and chicken byproduct stuff. So I'm like, I keep them off of it, and they do really well without having it, unless it's like, here you go, it's a flavored chicken thing every once in a blue moon. They don't have like a reaction to it.
Right.
Like, actually, since the grass gets long, Jax has like a belly thing going on again, but he needs his moose. And that's something I was telling my dad. I'm like, I could make dog food out of all that chicken if I make too much. Wanted
to do raw.
Exactly. And that's what I thought. I'm like, that would save us money.
Yeah.
Or if they ever have, like, an upset stomach, they say plain chicken, plain rice, and cooked and blended, whatever, like, chopped. I'm like, that's perfect. Mm-hmm. I can make that, and there we go. Perfect. Got it?
Yeah.
And I told him, I don't ever want to have to go and buy, like, down the road, obviously, because now, if I have to get it, I have to get it. I don't want to have to buy a $13 bag of a 3-pound bag of chicken.
Yeah.
5-pound bag chicken, whatever it is. that's too damn expensive.
Yeah,
I can pay for that, like the $13 for a bag of of like food for my own chickens.
Yeah.
And then butcher them myself.
Right. And like if you free range your chickens, honestly, like when my chickens were free range, I didn't feed them anything. Like they were free range. They went out all day, picked at the grass. They ate bugs, grass, rocks from the driveway for
their grit.
Yeah. They ate all day long, and then they'd go into their coop at night, and I'd close them up, and I'd give them like table scraps and stuff. But I didn't give them any layer feed at all, and they laid fine. So like, if you train them to come back in, like you might have to give them some crack corn or something to come back in at night. But once they're trained to like go back to their coop at dusk, like you basically don't have to feed the fuckers anything. I mean, they'll feed themselves. I mean, you got like the apple trees and stuff. They'll peck at those like when they start falling and stuff. Like
perfect.
Yeah, I never fed mine anything, and they laid just fine.
See, exactly. And I'm like, we have so much here, and even what I keep reading about ducks, like they will help keep the bugs down too. Yeah,
I heard they eat a lot more bugs than chickens do.
Yeah, like mosquitoes is one of them, and I'm like, oh, yeah, good.
That's nice.
So. Yeah. And ticks is another one. And like, so I got that dog kennel that they left. I brought that up, which is sitting over by the coop. I'm going to put that up, and this way they can have outside time before we get home. So then I can start free ranging them. So they're supervised because we have cats and I don't need them eating ducks.
Yeah.
And with the chickens, like I will free range them when we're home, and they'll be fine.
Right.
But it's just when we're not home, they can't do that. So
yeah,
because Joe, like there was a day Joe's like when I was telling about the ducks, and because who had asked you and asked me about, and they're helping somebody, that person. I had asked her, and she's like, yeah, just leave them out. They're free range. Like no small predators get them. They're fine. I'm like, I don't have the opportunity to leave them free ranged all day while we're gone for 8-9 hours a day. Yeah. Sometimes 10-ish, depending drive time and stuff.
Yeah.
And when I was telling Joe about that, he's like, we're not going to have to close the gates while we're gone, are we? I'm like, no, because I won't, unless I have my horses here for a weekend or whatever. Like, no, I'm not doing that. So I'm like, no.
Yeah. Right. Well, they would just fly right over the fence if they really wanted to get out anyways. But.
Now, here's a question, because I think she said they were like 4 months old. But the picture she sent me, they look a lot young. Like, I don't know. They're all gray, but they're hybrids, so I have no clue. I'm assuming they might need their wings clipped. They're like, I've been watching videos and stuff, and the guy clipped his wings, so I don't.
I've never clipped any of ours wings. See, the ducks, I don't think.
Because they'll fly, I guess. The guy that I watched last
I guess mine never got old enough to the point that they would fly. But, I mean, you could, I guess, if they start to become an issue. Like, my chickens, I never clipped their wings. But I needed to. Because our chickens, and you might not have this issue out here because you don't have the timber like we do, but the reason I don't free range my chickens anymore is because they would just fly up into the trees at night, and they would roost in the trees. So, no getting those fuckers down. So... that's why they don't free range anymore. But if I clipped their wings, it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. So, like, but your ducks aren't going to do that because they don't roost like that.
No. Shush.
So, I don't know. I guess maybe just get to know the ducks, and I guess if it becomes an issue, then clip them. And your chickens.
Yeah, that's... But. So, like, there was a video I was watching on YouTube last night, and the guy, it was going from, like, day one... Like, every day he was recording those ducks. Oh, my God, they grow so quickly in one day. I was like... There's no way they grew, like, from super tiny, like, a baby, to, like, this tall in a freaking night. Like, there's no way. But it went all the way to, like, day 56 or something, and by that time he had to go and clip them because they were starting to, like, take off.
Oh, wow.
But I'm like, I don't know. I've never had ducks. I don't know. I guess it's, like, the first 5 feathers that you clip, and you don't want to go any further.
Yeah. And you don't clip them that much. It's like just enough so that when they try to take off, it sets them off balance. So they can't glide because this one's like even just an inch shorter than the other side. It's not picking up the same amount of air. So they like get lopsided and stuff. They just won't try to fly.
Yeah, because I have no clue. Because that was another question Joe had for me. Is like, so do we have to clip their wings? I'm like, no, because everything on Google says that most domestic birds can't fly like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
as far as I know, they don't need to.
Mine got pretty high. I mean, they get 30 feet up in the trees, and that's why I couldn't get them down.
And they were chickens, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the chickens would.
Dang.
So, I mean, they can't fly, like, distances, but they can get pretty high.
Get up.
And so, like, the run I have now has the chicken wire over the top of it, so they can't fly over it. So, like... And so, like, that one, if you put chickens in that one, you might want to put mesh over the top. But, like, I don't think your ducks would get up there. I
actually am going to put something over it. It looks like they actually had, like a netting over the top, like a flight net or whatever the hell they call those. Mm-hmm. But I am going to try and put something over the top, mainly because while we're gone, they're going to have, like, the door is going to be closed.
Yeah.
Or however I plan on doing it. But they're going to have where they can come outside, but... This way the cats can't climb in there.
Yeah, and a coon definitely would if the cats could.
Exactly. Yeah. And I do know that they do come up. We have holes all over in some of the other buildings. Like, I just opened one up that was closed on the other side from picking all this stuff up. And
so coons will burrow, like, into the dirt, into the ground?
Yep. So if you ever see them where they're, like, they're brown instead of black and white or black and brown or... they're brown, like their ringtails are brown and not so much black, the normal color, and they're more brown colored or red colored. They're burrowing, like they're ground coons is what we call them, or ground raccoons.
Well, we have holes all over my place too, but I figured it was like the possums or foxes or something. I wasn't really sure if coons did or not.
Yep.
But, yeah.
They'll do the same thing. Skunk will do the same thing. They live in the ground too, which I'm hoping that's not what's out in the
I think you would have seen it by now.
I think I would have smelt it by now, but
yeah.
I haven't really seen anything coming and going from there, but the dog, Sarah has smelt back there when my sister and my dad were out.
Well, you know, having your dogs might kind of push them out too now.
Did
the last owners have dogs here?
I don't know if it was the last owner. They had cats, clearly, as you can smell in this room, but they had like 3 or 4 cats. Mm-hmm. They left that here, if it was theirs. It's fairly new. It's in good shape, so I'm assuming that was theirs. But I keep finding dog toys. The cats found a dog toy, so I'm pretty sure it was a rope toy. I'm like, where did you get that? And it's in the barn. I'm like, where did it come from? So, yeah, I think they had a dog. They have a really small dog kennel that I'm planning on taking out. I just haven't gotten that far into the barn. I've been focusing on that chicken coop since now we're getting those. And
well, with your dogs, like, free roaming and stuff, hopefully they won't, like, the critters won't want to stick around here.
I'm hoping not.
I wish Riley at our house could just free roam and she wouldn't go anywhere or get into shit she shouldn't, because, like, I mean, she would kill the coons and the possums and stuff. She does when, like, they come too close to her little doghouse and stuff. She'll kill them. But, I mean, she'll kill the ducks and the chickens too, obviously. So.
And that's what I'm worried about with these guys, because they have gotten hold of cats before.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Stormy is a good cat and will beat their ass.
Yeah.
And the kittens are pretty good about it. I mean, they're kind of like getting friendly. But I still don't trust my dogs because they have, you know, I told you how I broke that broom the one day.
Yeah.
They've tried it with Stormy, and like when I let them out at night, I don't leave them out super late because Sarah does come down here. She eats the damn cat food. Like, last night I ate.
Oh, yeah.
I let them eat the dog food, like, you know, fed them. Fed them supper, turned them out to go potty for the last time of the night. Coming up from the barn, she's sitting there.
Typical farm dog.
Oh.
For some cat food.
Yeah, I smacked her in the ass when she comes in. I'm like, where are you eating the cat food? Because I got to get more when I get paid. I'm like,
right.
Going through it so damn quick because she keeps eating the cat food. I don't understand why she keeps doing it. So I'm pretty sure at night I might start closing that.
Oh, hell yeah. Our dogs growing up, they love some cat food.
I don't know why she does. It drives me up the wall.
It must taste better or something. I don't know.
Weird.
You'd think it tastes the same as their freaking dog food, but...
Exactly. Well, they have salmon, so I don't know. I know for a while there at the other house, at the rental, sometimes she would get to a point where she's like, no, I'm not hungry. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to entice you by throwing some human food in there. Yeah. But now, like, I've been super, like... Okay, here's some table scraps. Yeah. Like, here's some chips. Here's
my gosh. So we redid our roof last weekend. And so Thomas's whole family came over and stuff, and they got pizzas, and we hung out. Riley got so much freaking pizza crust and toppings. And I would not surprise me if she had the shits all night long because she got so much shit.
Oh my God.
It was funny, but she had the best day. Thomas's niece just loved her for whatever reasons. Like, they have, his niece and their family have dogs and stuff, but she loved Riley. She was playing with her and, like, going around the tree and hiding from her. And then Riley would, like,
what are you doing?
And she'd run around the other side. And at one point, I looked over and saw her just grab Riley's face and just give her a smooch.
That's adorable.
Riley's having the best fucking day.
Oh,
so, it was funny. But it sucks just to be, like, tied up because she's not trustworthy. But they were like, why does your dog have to be tied up? I'm like, because if you let her loose, she's gonna take off. Yeah.
I think there was one day, it was either last year or the year before, I was farm sitting, and I can't remember how, I think it was before you got, I think it was that last tie out you had on her, and it broke.
Oh, the cable ones.
Yeah, and it broke, and she took off, like, she went down, she didn't leave the yard, but she was inching towards it.
Yeah.
I got mom voice on her, and she's like,
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's pretty good about, there was one time she took off and was going down the lane, and I said, Riley! And she like, you saw her ears drop, and she just turned around and came back.
What'd I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she'd be a fast fucker. I mean, if she took off and ran, there's no way I would catch her.
I think she would be, I don't know, I think you should train her to do like what my guys do, horseback, take her out and let her run.
She would love that. And if I had, I'm sure I have her training collar somewhere. I have one of those remote collars and stuff, but yeah, there's been some times she's gotten loose and, like, I didn't know it. There was one time, so Thomas is a bus driver. So there's a bus driver that has a route that comes by our house. It's not his route, but one of the other bus drivers called it in, and they saw a dog with a chain dragging down, like, by our house, by the road. And he, I think he Snapchatted me and said, is Riley at home? And, like, I didn't think anything of it. I was just going about my day out in the yard working and stuff. And I saw it, and I turned around and looked at her doghouse, and her whole chain is gone. And I was like, apparently not. No, she's not here. I had no idea she was gone. And he said that one of the bus drivers called it in that they saw a brown, what looked like a chocolate lab, because that's what she looks like, dragging a chain down the road. And I was like, well, I guess that ruins my afternoon. So I think I got on Sugar or BB or something and went out and started looking for her. But no, she won't stay in the area. Like, she'll kind of meander around home for a little bit, but then she'll take off down the road. She'll go, and, like, the times when she's literally broke her cable or broke her chain, like, you start freaking out because she get caught on something or, get it snagged on something, and then she's stuck somewhere. And yeah, I truly just don't think she was ever trained properly as a puppy. And, the people we bought her from, I think, did raise her. And they said that, she just ran with their other dogs and they would just come back whenever they came back. And so she never was taught any boundaries, and she doesn't understand, like, she doesn't have that territorial thing where she stays in her territory. She just runs and runs and runs, and then hopefully she'll come back, but she might not.
It sounds like all they did was just turn her out with the other dogs, hoping, she'll pick it up from the other dogs.
Yeah, and then eventually they'd come back, so it was fine with them.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's fucked up, because, like, she could be running around other people's properties, or, like, at the time I don't think she was spayed, so it was like she could have gotten knocked up, or, I don't deal with that, so.
Yeah, that's something that we still need to do, is have these guys fixed yet. And
yeah. If we could put a 6-foot fence around our entire property, like, I probably would let her run around, while I was home and stuff, but that shit is so expensive.
Yeah.
So that's probably not gonna happen.
Honestly, I think most of that is just because of the wood alone. Like, right now, the wood is not cheap.
Mm-hmm. But, no, we need to go hiking sometime.
Yes.
Go to the park sometime.
It's been a long time. I don't think we've even gone at all yet this year.
Yeah, we need to go soon. Because Riley could use a hike.
Yeah. Well, apparently, there's a trail. I don't know how long it is, but Joe and I went to Menards this past weekend.
Which one?
It's over down.
Menards?
Yeah, we went to Menards. Like, yeah, that one. In that town. Yeah.
I'll bleep it out.
Okay. But yeah, we went to and we went through because we were going that way.
Yeah.
And he wanted to take a certain way through there. Turns out the road was closed. And then he thought, oh, let's go around these signs. Oh, those assholes, they actually did block it because they had both machine equipment, like parked like this, like side by side, so you couldn't go around them. So we had to turn around, find a different way, go to a different gravel road to hit highway and then go and whatever.
Oh, you went through road.
Yes.
Yes, because they're doing the road construction over there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a trail over there.
Yes, there is. I drive by it every day on the way to work. It's called the Trail.
I think so.
Yeah.
I seen it. It's like, oh, that looks nice. And because he was like, I thought you would like this because there was a bunch of people with horses around. It's like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes all the way into.
Really?
I mean, you could ride that trail forever. It's like a hiking trail type thing. And we actually went on it a little ways a few weeks ago because Thomas likes to do geocache. Do you know what that is? Mm-mm. It's an app, and it's like a worldwide map, but you put in your location and people can, it's like a scavenger hunt. So people leave what's called a geocache, and it could be like a box, it could be like a little USB type thing, it could like literally whatever, but they'll mark it in the location where they left it on the app. Mm-hmm. So you can go find it, and you can, like there's actually one down by our house on that bridge, and it's just like a little container, and it's got a piece of paper in it, and it's got dates written from everyone that's found it, and they write it down and then they put it back. So it's like a little scavenger hunt type thing.
That's
and
cool.
There's one on that trail. So I conned Thomas in to go and get hay with me one day, and he's like, well, only if we can stop at this trail and look for the geocache. So I was like, whatever. So we hike like a mile down this stupid trail to find this geocache, and it's like a little ammo box that somebody has filled with like toys, and it's like a take one, leave one type of thing. But then it has a thing you can write that you found it in there. And yeah, so it's a really nice trail. It's an old railroad.
Really?
That they turned in, like when they took the railroad out, they turned it into a trail. But I stopped in there one day to look at the sign, and there's nothing that says you can't have horses on it. It says no motorized vehicles. So just bikes and hikers and stuff. But there's nothing that says you can't ride horses down it. So
it's funny you mention that because it's...
Is that what you did?
No, I actually asked about that. Like, I asked Joe about that. I'm like, I wonder if you can ride on that, because that'd be cool. Especially with everybody having horses.
Yeah.
Like, the whole town pretty much has horses around there. I'm like, I bet they do. There's no way they don't.
Yeah,
like,
so we should ride down it sometime.
I mean,
none of our horses are afraid of bikes, but...
No.
So.
Which one that you did have? Was it BB that was like, that's a bicycle?
Used to be kind of weirded out by bikes.
Yeah. Not so much anymore, though, right?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, because, like, I used to keep her at my friend's. She lived, Nicole. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to keep her at Nicole's. And she lived on one of the back roads that people would take to the city a lot. So people would ride their bikes up and down it all the time. And I remember when I first had her there, I didn't realize how much bike traffic there was. But I don't think it was the bikes that scared her. It was the buzzing sound that they make. Because when they go really fast, they make kind of like a buzzing sound. And then she'd be like, what the fuck? So, and then she'd like back up into the ditch and be a whole mess. But yeah, I don't think they really bother her anymore.
To be fair, I would have freaked out at that sound too.
Yeah, because a lot of those people have like really nice bikes because they're like bikers, you know. Mm-hmm. But
well, hell, Joe has been carrying this bike around, and it's in the garage. Because I guess when it was, like, around, it was, like, $500 or something. So I'm like, you don't even use it. And he's still hauling it around because of how expensive it was when it was, like, whatever.
It's not worth
like,
shit if you don't ride it.
Exactly. I'm like, you're not even getting the use out of it. Get rid of it. It's just taking up space. You don't use it. It hasn't been used.
Joe biking anytime soon.
No. Drives me up the wall. It's just taking up space and just... Oh, my God. This drives me nuts. But what have you been up to?
Ugh, just working and shit, really. So Gypsy and Harley went home today. Who have been my client horses. They've been there for 60 days, a little over 60 days. They stayed an extra week because last week it was like just so ridiculously hot that I gave them a few extra days off because it was just too hot to work with anybody. So they stayed an extra week, and yeah. So they went home today, and their owners rode them before they left, and they've been doing really good. So I feel pretty confident that they'll do fine at home. So if you guys haven't been keeping up with the vlogs, it's kind of like a green horse, green rider situation, which a lot of people hate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not super opposed to it because that was me growing up. Like, I got two, like, pretty much unbroke horses as a child, and I didn't know anything about horses, and, like, we ended up fine. Obviously, people can end up really hurt. But if they're working with experienced horse people or with trainers, I think it's fine. So, these are their first horses. And, you know, their owners are, I don't know, 50s, 60s. Like, they're a little bit older. But these are their first horses. Like, she kind of grew up around horses, but never had her own. So, these are their first horses. And she's doing really good, though. Like, she sent them to training this year because she, you know, they were 3 years old this year. And she's like, no, they need to get into training. And this is the point in their life that they need to start doing something. And if they're going to be riding horses, like, we need to get them into training and stuff. And I told her that's good. That's, you know, this is the right time, especially if you've raised them up since they were babies and have socialized them and spent time with them and stuff. Like, get them into training and get the ball rolling, basically. Because, I mean, you just sit around and wait until they're 6 or 7 years old, and it's going to be, you know, they're not going to be as well broke. I mean, you can still break out an older horse well, but this is the ideal time. So she came out and rode 3 times, I think. And then, so her husband had, like, surgery last week. So he really shouldn't be riding, but he rode today. And he rode Gypsy, and she was good. You know, she did pretty well. He's like 6'4" and, like, obviously a big heavy dude. So I told him, like, it's probably going to be a little weird, awkward to get started because you're obviously much longer and stretched out than I am. So it's going to be weird for Gypsy.
She's got to adjust to him.
Yeah. And he, you know, probably weighs 100 pounds more than I do.
Yeah.
So she was like, what the hell? But yeah, she was very good. So I think they'll do fine. Her biggest thing was just being patient and stuff. Like, when I would stop in the middle of the arena and I just let her stand there for a few minutes, she'd like to fidget and kind of, like, keep turning her butt and keep turning it around and around. Like, she wouldn't just sit and stand. So I told them, you know, that's something you can work on at home when you take her home. Just, you know, when you ride her, stop for a few minutes and just let her stand. She can learn to just stand and wait. She doesn't have to be moving all the time. Harley has the opposite problem, where he's such a fucking lazy ass that I worry about him because I've already seen it when his owners come to ride him. He starts playing these little games with her. Like, so I've taught them how to lunge. So I tell her, you know, take your rope hand, point, use your whip hand, ask him to go. Harley will just start spinning around and around and around.
What?
And she's like, what do I do? Like, he's not going. I'm like, I said, you take that whip and you swing it at him and mean it. Because he's just like, he's testing her, basically. He's like, he knows that I'll make him do shit, but he doesn't know that she'll make him do shit. So, stuff like that. And then with the bit lately, he's been very, like, head tossy. He's like, I don't want to put it in. And so I was like, if he does this when you get home, you get after him about it. Bop him, you know, swat him, whatever, because he's just going to play these games with you because he knows he's taller and you can't put it in if he raises his head way up. So just stuff like that. Like, with her, I try to make it very clear, like, if he's being stupid, he knows how to do it. Don't let him bully you around because he's bigger and he's freaking lazy. And then, like, riding lately, he's just been, like, standing there, and then she asks him to go, and he just backs up. Like, you son of a bitch. So I was like, because I still ride them, like, with the halter on under their bridle. I said, you take that extra tail of your lead rope and smack him when he does that crap, because he'll know that I'll make him go. But he doesn't know you as a rider, and he's just like...
He's testing, too.
Yeah, he's like, maybe she just won't make me do anything.
Especially him, because he's the one that really doesn't want to move.
He is so freaking lazy. And I'm like, he's not going to do anything stupid. Like, he's never bucked, he's never reared, he's never tried to kick me or anything.
I think there's, like, one day where he was like, He, like, barely moved.
Yes.
There was a day he, like, tried to do anything, and he just barely moved.
It is, like, bare minimum effort at all times. he will not do a cent more than you ask him. So I told her, like, don't be afraid to get mean to him, because he needs to get his ass in gear sometimes. Mm-hmm. So that's the biggest thing for him. I worry that he's gonna start these little habits and little games with her so that he gets to get out of work. But otherwise, they were really great horses to have. They clearly socialized them very well from the time they were babies, so they were pretty easy to break out and stuff. So yeah.
Now I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When you have your training horses and you send them home, do you ever tell your clients that if you ever want to see the work that I do with them, you can see them on my YouTube page?
Some of them.
Some of them?
Some of them I don't, because, like, my YouTube is still kind of one of those things. I'm, like, a little self-conscious about it, because I'm like, mostly because of my vlogs and stuff. Like, I have a lot of personal stuff on there, too. So, like, most of my videos are not just training-based. And sometimes my clients, like, I don't want them to know all my personal stuff.
Okay.
You know, about how I'm kind of weird and I swear a lot. And some people just don't really like that.
Honey, so everybody swears.
I know, but, like, I don't want to deter any customers because, like, I swear like a sailor or I'm bitching about their horse on my video.
I get you.
But, like, one of my past clients, she knew I had a YouTube, and I don't think I ever even told her about it. I think she just found it at some point and would watch the videos of me working with Starburst and Pinky and stuff. And I knew she watched them because she would comment every once in a while. And, like, I was fine with her watching them if she wanted to watch them. It was kind of embarrassing for me, but, you know, what am I going to do about it? If she's found it, then she watched it. But, so, you know, the trainer that we're friends with is moving into that barn. The barn I used to work at, if you guys, way back, you'd have to be watching a long time, but this was like 6 or 7 years ago. Way back when I was working with these horses, Starburst and Calypso, I was boarding at this barn, and I actually made a whole story time about this, not that long ago, like a year or two ago, about how I got kicked out of this barn. But one of our friends, that runs like a lesson program and stuff, and like a summer camp type thing, she is moving into that barn. And she randomly messaged me a couple weeks ago and was like, hey, did you get along with the barn owner while you were there? And I said, yeah. For the most part, I had a bit of a falling out, like, when I left, but otherwise, yeah, I got along with him pretty good. And she said, like, when you were using that saddle that she was selling, she was like, oh, well, Mel told me that you had a falling out, but it wasn't her story to tell. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I told her all about what happened.
Okay, good.
So basically, if you guys don't remember or didn't watch that video, I got along with the barn owner at that place really, really well, but he kicked me out because he found out that I was basically taking pictures and taking videos in his barn without his knowledge. And I'm pretty sure that client of mine is who kind of instigated this whole mess, because she watched my videos. And I was working with her horses while I was there, and that's who I was videoing and stuff. And this was just like right after she had basically told me she didn't need me to work with her horses anymore, because she was leasing them out or whatever. I actually think she just wanted to fire me. But
she should have just upright and said if that was the case.
Yeah. But it was like very shortly, like a few weeks after that, suddenly the barn owner just blew his freaking top at the fact that I was taking videos and posting them online in his barn without his knowledge. And it was, so what happened was he called my dad's wife, who is a agent, and he had insurance through her. And it was just like small world type of thing. Like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that was your stepmom. Like, I have my insurance through her. He called her, bitched out one of her employees. And so bad, like, that phone call is recorded, like, through, like, they record their phone calls. It was so bad that the employee had to, like, hand the phone off to my stepmom and was like, I don't know what to do with this customer. And my stepmom, like, when I was younger, like, our relationship was not that good. So she basically was like, I'm gonna let you take this up with Steve, my dad. So she gave him my dad's phone number, He calls my dad, rips my dad a new asshole, and then my dad calls me, right? And by the way, the barn owner had my phone number this entire time. But for whatever reason, he decided to call my stepmom's employee at the insurance office to then get a hold of her and then get a hold of my dad.
I had to go around the ring.
Yeah.
Get a hold of everybody except for the person he had a problem with.
Right. And I was not an adult at this time. So I kind of get that aspect of it. But, like, we had communicated. He didn't even know my parents. Like, he had communicated to just me this whole time. So I was like, I don't understand why this is all happening and why he couldn't have just called me. But anyway, so my dad calls me and he's like, you know, such and such is kicking you out of his barn. I don't know what you've done. I don't know what you did, but you need to call him and apologize. But he's still kicking you out. Like, you need to take your pony somewhere else. Because I had a pony there at this time. So I call him, burst into tears, and he's like, I call him and he's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, you know, super chipper. And I'm like, I don't know, like, what's going on? But basically he is like, yeah, I didn't know about the videos and stuff, and you know, that could compromise my security and give away my location and stuff, which, by the way, I was always very careful about never having, like, the barn name and, you know, the sign or anything in my videos. I always cut that out, or I made sure, like, I wasn't recording where you could see that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, end of the day, he still, like, wanted me to move the pony and stuff and kicked me out. But it was all because of, like, just me posting pictures and videos online. Which, that client of mine that I'm pretty sure told him about all this, posted pictures and videos of her kids all the time.
Exactly.
So I was like, what the hell does it matter? She posts videos and shit all the time of her kids riding around in here.
And you can find those just as easily on Facebook as you can on YouTube.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know. It was weird. But anyway, so this friend of ours that runs this lesson program, she's moving into that barn. And so I basically told her all that. And she was like, oh, wow, that makes me a little nervous. And I was like, you know what? He was a really great guy. He was like 70 when I was there. So he's got to be old now.
What?
Yeah, he is old.
Oh, I didn't know.
I never met him or seen him?
No.
He's old.
I pulled down there to get that saddle, and there was a guy in front of me. I thought maybe might have been him, but he was younger. I've never met the guy,
old.
so...
Yeah, I mean, he was like 65 or 70 when I was there. And that's basically why she's moving into the barn, because he's not really using it anymore, and he's kind of too old to really utilize it. His health is not that good. And I told her, I was like, I bet he would love to see you use that barn. Like,
oh, yeah.
Until we had a falling out, he was always very helpful to me. He was always very kind to me, you know, and did me a lot of favors and stuff. So, like, I told her, I would just make sure he knows that you take pictures of your students. And, like, you take videos of your students and stuff for your Facebook page. And just make that clear so that there's no surprises. And otherwise, he was always a great guy to me. I saw him in the feed store, like, all the time after that. And he never even, like, he never acted like he knew who I was. So I actually don't know if he recognized me or
probably
he was
not.
Just
honestly, he probably
like
didn't.
he didn't know who I was. But I helped him load shavings and shit all the time after that. And I was like, I told her I have no hard feelings about it now. It's whatever. But it seemed very, and even still now, you know, 6 or 7 years later, it seems very over the top for me.
Well, when you're going around to, like, trying to get a hold of your parents or your step parents and your parents.
Yeah.
Instead of when you have, unless he, like, lost your number, I can see, but it's like,
we texted all the time.
Okay, then he couldn't have.
No, there's no way. I was like, why didn't he just call me and be like, hey, I really don't like that you're posting these things. Could you please stop?
Yeah, and here's the other thing. So when I was picking that saddle up, the reason why that conversation happened was because our mutual friend had asked me if you had boarded there or worked out of there before, because your name was still on a whiteboard.
Oh yeah, she did tell me that.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's not my story to tell. I know there was a falling out.
Yeah,
you would have to ask her about it. Like, I just told her, like, a little gist, and like, you just have to ask her about it.
Yeah, she did tell me my name and number was still on the whiteboard there, and I was like, well, it's clearly not been updated in a while.
And you know what's funny? It's still at the last place I was at too.
Is it really?
Yeah. So, like, the one that goes out to the pasture, there's that little one there. Of course, unless that said trainer probably got rid of it by now, but it had barn owner, I think husband, vet, you, and me on there, and then days that we were doing at the time. So you had like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the time, which I started doing. I was doing a week, and then that's what I was doing, and then everything has changed since then. But like you were still on there.
Oh, that's funny.
But
well, yeah. Hopefully it works out good for her. I think she could definitely utilize that facility, and
I think so too. I think she said there was cameras there, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, there was. Because that's why my client no longer wanted me to work with her horses, is because she was tuning in on the cameras. And not because I was, like, doing anything bad, but, like, I wrote a time down wrong or something. And she sent me a text and was like, hey, I watched you on the cameras today, and this time isn't right. And I was so apologetic about it. And, like, I'm not perfect. This was 6 or 7 years ago. I was literally still in high school. So, like, I'm willing to admit, like, where I made mistakes, especially as, like, somebody that was trying to start their own business and stuff. I should have been more careful. But I wrote the times down wrong. I think I wrote it down for, like, when I left that day instead of, like, when I was done working with the horses, because I had, like, cleaned out Chloe's stall or something. So the time was off a little bit. And I told her, I'm so sorry. Like, you can just cross that out. Don't even worry about paying me for that day. Like, I'll fix it next time I'm there. Won't happen again. And then, like, the next week or two, she was like, yeah, I just don't need you to work with them anymore. So, it was kind of like, okay, like, you know, what am I supposed to say? You know, it's fine. But, yeah, there are cameras, and there's a camera in the arena so you can see, like, you know, you can watch people ride, basically, from home. But
so, yeah, I was like, well, if there was cameras there, then how did he not know, like, prior to somebody saying anything to him that you were taking pictures and video?
Well, okay, so this is the funny thing, too, is that I used to wear my GoPro. I would wear my GoPros in lessons with him.
So,
and, like,
why didn't he ever ask? Or
well, he was, like, 65 or 70 at the time, so I'm guessing he probably didn't really get what it was, or, like, really understand what it was. Like, maybe he maybe knew it was a camera, but maybe thought I was just watching it at home, or, like, just for my own enjoyment or whatever. But I guess, like, I never thought to even ask about it, because, like, I wore my GoPro and, like, had cameras with me all the time, so I guess I never thought, like, why would that be an issue? And, like with my client, she would always take pictures of her kids and stuff, so I just never thought it would be an issue or something to ask about. But then when he flipped out about it, I was kind of like, yeah, I've been taking pictures and videos. Like, I guess I thought you knew that, or at least if you had an issue with it, you would ask me to, like, take my camera off or something.
Or would have said something sooner than blowing up about it.
Yeah. So, like, I don't, like, fault, I guess, either one of us. Like, he has every right. You know, it's his barn. He has every right to be like, yeah, I don't want you filming and stuff in here. But I guess at the same time, I was 16 or 17 years old. I just didn't think that was an issue. So, it's a learning experience. When I moved to that last barn that you were at, I asked her, do you care that I film and stuff in here? And she was like, no.
See, I didn't think she would, because, like,
she didn't care at all. She was like, no. Yeah. I was like, well, I'm just asking because I've been kicked out of barns for taking fucking videos, okay? So, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think, I mean, I never asked, and I tried doing, you know, some things here and there, and...
But. Yeah. And I told her, too, like, I'm putting them on YouTube. Does that bother you? She's like, no. So,
if anything, it's probably bringing her more attraction for her business. Well, anyway.
And you know what she said was, like, people are gonna know where you are. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Sarah's looking through this window like, what the fuck?
What are you doing?
But yeah, she was like, no, people are gonna know where you are. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna try not to post, like, the quarter horse sign that's in the window or in the corner. But I mean, I never had an issue with people knowing where I was, but.
If somebody, okay, honestly, anytime, unless you go through, like, the dark web, and the only way I know this is because, you know, the show that I have on, you know, one of my favorite shows, is if you go through, like, the dark web, you intertwine your IP address, stuff like that, you know, you have to go through a lot of effort to make your, like, geotag and all that crap, like, say you're at here, at home, at my place, and say it's at your place when you're not actually there. Like, you have to actually make a lot of effort to change that, when people can, if they really wanted to, can go in and find that if they wanted to. Yeah, if they really wanted to. Even if you hide all that, they can find it if they want to.
I have no idea how that shit works. Have you seen Don't Fuck with Cats?
No. I've never heard of that.
You don't have Netflix, do you?
No.
Okay, well, there's a documentary on there called Don't Fuck with Cats. And it's about this guy that would post videos of him murdering cats online. Yeah, like there was one where he duct taped a cat to a broom, like the handle. He like took all 4 of its legs and just like duct taped it to this broom handle and then shoved it underwater until it died. And he would post these videos. And there was one where he put a bunch of kittens in a vacuum sealer and just vacuum sealed them and killed them. And so he amassed this huge following on, I don't remember what website he was posting it on, but people were gonna fucking find him because he pissed off this huge like audience of people. And it got so bad to the point he actually killed somebody on camera and posted it. But he would do it anonymously, like, you know, he'd cover his face and stuff so nobody knew who he was. Mm-hmm. But they literally took like screenshots of the outlet in his corner. Or like the blanket he had on his bed, and they would find that blanket and where it's sold in the world and who it's made by and where this company sells and the type of outlets, like depending on the country you're in, what type of outlets like they have and stuff. They found him. And
that doesn't surprise me.
He eventually got like convicted of murder and stuff, but I was like, there are some crazy fuckers in the world. I would never be able to do this type of shit.
And you know what's nuts is that's actually how police works, like investigation. Yeah, that's actually how that works.
It's because the people figured out where he was, not because of the police. The police like were barely any help.
Which is kind of nuts that it's funny how a mass of people can take the time to do that and be able to figure that kind of stuff out when police can't.
Yeah.
And what's sad is sometimes police get pulled away, and I know we're getting way off topic of a lot of things.
We barely talked about horses at all.
But it's okay,
That's
you know.
fine.
But it's funny how, like, you know, police can be on one investigation, but they get pulled away to another one, and sometimes that takes priority because it's happening right now.
Yeah.
Or it's something like a mass shooting happening in the mall or whatever, and they have to go there directly right now because it's happening. And then they have to that takes priority over this investigation because, like, what you were talking about, he can't sit there and watch online and pinpoint this exact detail on the wall.
Right.
You know, they have multiple cases that they have to follow each and every day, and we just don't give them enough credit for what they have to go through, how long they are away from their families and stuff, and you know, that's why a lot of people...
Why did we even start talking about that?
I don't know.
Oh, because of finding where your location is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about cameras, and then back to, you know, mutual friend and where they were, their business.
I have no idea how to do any of that shit. What'd you do?
I hit my tooth.
Oh. On your drink. Oh. Okay, well, should we read some horse stuff, like, to make this podcast worth...
Horsey related?
Yeah. Well, I saved some Reddit threads. Let me look through them quick to figure out which ones we want. Have you saw the thing about the bucking horses that all died from that cattle feed thing?
So with you mentioning that while you're looking that up, I will say, in case anybody that is listening doesn't know what we're talking about, there was like a whole herd. They were famously known, weren't they?
They owned a rodeo company, I think.
I thought so.
They supplied them. What it was.
I don't remember which one they were either, but there was a lot of horses. There was all but like one horse out of that whole herd because it was actually at somebody's vet clinic or something for something else. And they were all fed some kind of feed that ended up having, was it a chemical or like a cattle food?
It was the chemical.
It was the chemical. There was a chemical change in a feed or something that was for cattle actually, and it ended up killing the whole entire herd of bucking horses. That was actually something that was supplied to a rodeo that they owned or supplied to. Excuse me. And when I first seen that, I seen it from somebody else, and I read I read part of the article. I didn't click on it, but I read the headline, and then I seen Michaela had shared it, and I seen what she had said, and I was like, how the hell does somebody pick up cattle feed and think that, oh yeah, I'll feed this to my horses? Like, I thought it was bags of feed.
Yeah, no.
And then I read what you said, and it's like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. And that's why it's like, here's your reminder, people. Actually click on the articles, because I didn't click on the articles. But
we'll actually have it here, and if you want me to read it.
Yeah, go ahead, because some people may not know.
This was posted by Kendra Santos on Facebook, and I shared the post a few days ago, but it says, the level of catastrophic loss that is still unfolding at the Beutler Ranch in Elk City, Oklahoma right now is beyond comprehension. The horror of so many dead horses, the death toll is now approaching 70 and counting. I'm told is devastating a family dynasty breeding program that is a 95-year-old cowboy empire. What Elra, Jake, and Lynn Beutler started in 1929, and Elra's grandson Benny and his son Rhett built into the Beutler and Son Rodeo Company today, can't be replicated or replaced. I have intentionally sat quiet on the story, knowing that the Beutlers can't even breathe right now. They have no words or tears left. They also have their hometown rodeo to produce this weekend, and with so much of their horse herd and generations deep legacy wiped out without warning. I have had many off-the-record conversations with cowboy people about this tragic turn of events in the last few days. I had just had my first one on the record with the friend and veterinarian of the Beutlers have entrusted with their four-legged family. Dr. Greg, sorry, I'm a little bit tipsy right now, so if I'm reading bad, that's why. Girl, Dr. Greg Clayson, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Because of what may lie ahead legally, we will stick to only the facts that can be appropriately shared publicly at this time. More to come later when the time is right for the Beutler family. Basically what happened is they got a bunch of feed from a feed mill, which like operations that are feeding a lot of horses, like probably, I don't know, 20 plus. Like a lot of people will get their feed in bulk from feed mills. So they'll take large containers or they'll deliver it and just fill their grain bins so that they have like thousands of pounds of feed on hand at all times, rather than buying like bags of feed, because that would be an astronomical expense to buy like bagged feed. Well, this feed that the Beutler and Son Rodeo Company ordered ended up having the cattle drug Monensin, brand name Rumensin, in it, which is incredibly toxic for horses. Like, it can be fed to cattle, but horses will get sick and die off of it. So this, I think the last I saw, this was posted August 28th, but the last update I saw was the head count was up to 80 horses that had died because of being fed this. And like, there's like no way to know, like if it doesn't have a smell, it doesn't have a look. If they just went ahead and fed all their horses their daily like ration of feed one day, and then like, could you imagine like coming out to your field and finding like 10 horses dead?
No.
I would actually, I would have a panic attack. Like, what the fuck? If you just like, and to have like a breeding program, like I don't know, I guess how many, but that's got to be like on the majority of their horses.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine one rodeo company having more than that.
Yeah, and like they said, that's like legacy stuff. So like,
yeah, like they worked hard to create this breeding program of bucking horses for generations.
Exactly.
To just see them all dead and wiped out within a week.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So our heart goes out to the Beutler family. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. It's Beutler. So I'm assuming it's Beutler.
I don't know. I don't have it up on my phone, so I couldn't tell you.
So sorry if we're mispronouncing that, but I can't imagine like what it's gonna take to rebuild. And like if they gave it to all their horses, like how do you know like they're not all gonna die?
Mm-hmm. Because they all have it in some way.
Yeah.
And that's depending on how many horses they even have on that property. And because I remember reading that somebody said, just this one didn't get any of it because he was off the property and he was on my, like, at my place. So, and it was either a mare. If it's a mare, they at least have a starting spot. And I'm not saying that this is the one that they can reproduce and create everything that they, like, rebuild everything. One horse is not going to rebuild generations of everything.
What if
it
it's
had.
a gelding? Like,
Exactly.
what the hell do you do with that?
Exactly. Like, there's not much you can do with that, honestly. Like, you can't.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know if there's anything you could do with just his blood. Like, if there's anything you could do with taking his blood and be like. Because I've heard that there's, like, cloning, but I don't know how the cloning works. I've heard about cloning, but I.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I bet that's thousands of dollars and stuff.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah, like, once they've ingested, like, what's basically poison for them, like. I mean, what are you supposed to do? I mean, horses can't throw up, right?
No.
So, like, dogs, you can just make them throw it up. But, like, with horses, like, it has to pass through their system.
Unless I'm wondering if they're just going to automatically start treating all the other horses that they already have as, like, whatever that they have as, like, not an antibody, but the word was there, but basically just start treating them as a precaution. Or
probably.
to try and get ahead of it. If they did feed them, they're probably going to throw out all that feed. So not only do you have the loss of all those horses, the money that you had in those horses, but the feed.
I can't imagine what type of lawsuit's going to ensue from this.
Oh, they're
like,
probably,
if they're going to
get
press charges.
Big lawsuit. Like,
yeah.
They're going to get quite a bit of money out of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, what do you do? I mean, it's taken out your whole herd because what? I guess we haven't heard anything from, like, the feed mill or from the feed company, but if it was just out of pure negligence, because I have personally bought and feed from a mill before. Mm-hmm. That one down in Wilton. I used to buy my oats from them. And I would just take 50-gallon barrels and I'd bring them, put them in the back of my truck, and they would just bring the thing, like, you'd pull in almost like
underneath their I don't even know what
they'd have a
call it,
chute like from the ceiling, and they would fill your containers from the ceiling. So you drive in there, park, underneath the spout, and then they'd fill your containers through that to buy in bulk instead of bag, because bags are more expensive. But when I would drive in, and I'd say I want just like whole oats or whole oats, they'd always ask me, are you feeding these to cows or to horses? Because if you're feeding them to cows, they would flush the machine out. So they'd run, like, I don't know, 200, 300 pounds full of cracked corn through the machine to flush out any little bits of grain from cattle feed or whatever through there so that it wouldn't get in my oats. But, if this company didn't do that and they just, like, filled a bunch of shit. Here's the thing. My dad growing up, so my dad's not a horse guy. If you guys are new here, I don't come from a horse family. Nobody in my family does horses. So my dad, growing up, I specifically remember him and his wife telling me in the living room one day, because I was trying to explain to them why horses can't eat mold. Because, like, it will make horses sick, right? Well, cows, we feed moldy shit to the cows all the time. Didn't bother them. We'd feed them moldy shit. We'd feed them all kinds of stuff. Nothing bothers cows. Like, cows can eat so much shit that horses can't eat. And I remember explaining to them in the living room one day at like 10 years old why horses can't eat mold.
Oh my goodness.
And they literally, my dad's wife looked at me and said, if a cow can eat it, a horse can eat it too.
I'm sorry, but a cow has 4 stomachs, a horse only has 1.
Well, okay, little 10-year-old me, like, I couldn't say shit. Nobody was gonna believe me. So I was just like, no. And just went to my room or something. But it literally, if anybody ever tells you guys, like, if we have any beginner horse owners listening, cows can process so much more than horses can, because horses are not ruminant animals. Sorry, Mel's dog is, like, looking at us through the window like, what the hell?
Yeah, he keeps staring at me like, you let me in, let me in.
But horses only have one stomach, and then they have a hind gut. So things like, you just look at, like, horse poop compared to cattle poop. Cows poop out literal slop. Yep. Horses, you can literally look at their poop and you can see the fibers in it. Like, it's not broke down near as much. No, because they only have the one stomach and then it passes through their hindgut and into their intestines. So things like toxins, like mold and stuff affect them so much more than it does cows because they don't break it down as far. Cows, like, God, I've fed some moldy shit. Basically, anytime we have moldy hay at my house, I take it to the other farm and give it to the cows. Never bothers them. Never bothered our cows growing up. Like, they can just process it better. I'm not saying it's necessarily good for them, but it's not going to make them as sick as, like, it will for a horse. So, if anyone ever tries to tell you that horses and cows can eat the same type of thing, not really. And so, like, this place ran into, like, some sort of chemical contaminating their horse feed. And all of their horses have died because of it. So, I mean, yeah, if, like, the feed mill was just negligent, or if they got a bad batch, maybe they need to take legal action to whoever provided this batch of feed to them.
Now, not to change the subject here, but here is a question for you. It's still relating to the subject, but not quite the same. Now, there are some people that I know that feed their horses cow lick tubs, like the green lick tubs. What is your opinion on that, in case other people out there may have this question or are debating on it or may have questions about it? What would you say about that, since you know both
personally, I would never recommend that, because there are some, like, when I used to work at a feed store, like, we sold lick tubs that were labeled all natural, and the farmers would come in looking for those feed tubs for their herd of heifers and calves, because the all natural feed tubs, they were called like AN, I don't know, 14% or something. AN stands for all natural, and they would exclude a chemical in them called urea. I don't know, never heard of it. But the cow guys would come in and they would look for the all-natural ones because the all-natural ones don't have urea in it. Urea will make calves sick, baby calves. So they'd come in and they'd buy those ones for their herd of heifers and calves because they could have that. There are some horse people that think they can buy those for their horses too. Which, you know what? If it's not making their horses sick, let them do whatever they want. But the thing is the tubs that are made for cattle and are advertised and marketed to cattle people for cattle, like, the thing for me is, like, some companies will change their formulas, and I've seen this with the feed company, like, even with the horse feed companies. When we would sell horse feed, sometimes you'd open a bag and it would look different than normal, or like they'd change the pellet shape, or it would be a little bit darker than normal, and like feed companies don't always announce when they're going to change their formula. Or like when Purina started putting Outlast in Strategy. You know, Outlast used to be its own supplement, but then they started just putting it in Strategy, so it's already mixed into the grain. They announced that, but sometimes they won't if they're just going to change like one ingredient. So like with these lick tub companies, if they're advertising something for cattle, like, they could just change their formula one day. And suddenly, you know, you're feeding it to horses. They might change the formula to where it's still safe for cows, but they're only selling this and marketing it to be a cattle product. So if they change it to something that's still safe for cows, you're not necessarily going to know that. So that's where it makes me nervous hearing that people are feeding those to their horses, even if it's not bothering them right now. They could change their formula anytime they want. And they might not say anything about it because they're changing it to something that's still safe for cows because it's a product for cows, not for horses.
Exactly. And that's something that, the reason why I bring that up, because not only because maybe there's somebody out there that may not know and may be feeding it to their horses or whatever else, maybe their cows and their horses share a lot or something, I don't know, but it might be helpful for somebody else out there. But it's something that I know you and I have discussed. I've asked you a couple different times about it, but it's something that has been brought to my attention. You know, on the farm here, eventually I'll bring my guys home, and Joe wants a couple cows out here, and he's mentioned that he works at a feed store, and somebody has come in, somebody we both know, mentioned that they feed those lick tubs to their horses, and I'm like, I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I've asked you about it, and therefore I think it would be a good thing to make it known to other people.
You guys just don't fucking feed anything that's like meant for cows to horses. Like, even if it probably won't hurt them, I just wouldn't do it. And, like, I had some boarders that would feed primarily live, or, all stock is what it's called, to their horses, which all stock is pretty much a feed that you can feed to any livestock. Like, you can feed it to goats, to cows, to, horses. It's safe for pretty much everything. But there's also it's not going to be formulated for horses. Like, Thomas brought this up the other day, which was a good point. Like, when it's made for so many different types of animals that it can be safe to feed to, it's only gonna be so good, right? And, like, with all stock or, like, sweet feed or whatever, it's basically like feeding your horse candy bars. Like, it probably has good taste. It might have some extra calories and stuff, but it's not going to have the vitamins and minerals balanced in it. It's not going to be formulated to actually be nutritional. It's literally just some extra calories that taste really good to maybe, like,
get them to eat, and that's about it.
Yeah. So, like, I would just really wouldn't go that route for any reason. If you don't know what to feed your horse, ask a vet or a nutritionist. Yeah. There are equine nutritionists, and actually a lot of them do like online type counseling. So if you find one that you really like, send them an email, have like a phone consultation with them, because they can at least give you some idea. A lot of them want to come out and like see your horse so they can analyze, how much protein your hay has in it, if they have, pasture, what type of grass you have. But they can at least give you a starting point as to what you should be feeding your horses. But don't feed them anything that is marketed for, general livestock, or especially not for cows. So
exactly. And
that just makes me so nervous.
Yeah, it makes me nervous too, because you never know. Like you said, the chemicals can change at any time, and you don't know if they're going to say anything. And if they do, are you following those pages? Are you following where they're going to tell you that, hey, we're changing this chemical?
You know what's interesting is that girl that we're talking about, a friend of ours, she feeds the tubs that at the store she's buying at, they're Vitalix tubs. Yes. They're either Vitalix or they're Stockade. And both of those companies make horse tubs.
Which I don't know why they're not. Like,
so why
I think
is she not buying those?
Well, they might be a little more expensive.
Probably. But they're probably guaranteed safe for horses.
Exactly. And see, like, I've thought about, like, when I have the extra cash, because, right now I'm kind of a broke bitch right now, But I've thought about getting some of the tubs and just, like, when I buy something for myself, I want to share because I like sharing. So, like, I want to, like, if my guys get one, I want to kind of, like, here's one for you guys, here's one for you guys, I want to share. And it's going to be, obviously, something for, like, horses, obviously. And if the flies were really bad, obviously it's getting towards the end of the year, they're starting to finally fucking die off. But I gotta be careful because Cash has laminitis anyway, so I can't really just
throw them out there.
Exactly. Yeah. So it'd probably have to be like just a block, and that doesn't mess with his feet that much. But I really like the what the heck is it called? Equifly? Yeah. The last barn had that, but it's high in molasses though. Like and that made him lame the last time he was on that because he was able to lick on that all the time. So, like, that's another thing. If you have horses that get laminitis, which is now, I actually just shared the post. I don't know if you've seen it. My farrier shared it too. That's where I got it. Right now is the time that the grass sugars are changing.
Oh, probably because it's getting cooler.
Exactly. And so the sugars are changing in the grass. And so if your horses have laminitis like Cash does, it's gonna be, like, higher, and you gotta watch it, and it will cause more inflammation in their hooves, and it will cause laminitis to spur up more, and even in horses that don't necessarily have it but are on the verge of possibly like having it. And so that's just something that I shared, which they actually do this, like, my farrier, by the way, will be out the 17th, so just heads up for you.
Good to know. Well, I probably need to get Freedom done sometime. I think I've had her a month now, and
well, if you want to get her done, I can text her and see, hey, do you have time?
I think she's a little expensive for me, though.
Yeah. Well, I might just be getting shoes pulled for Cash because...
if we're going into winter,
Yeah. Well, that and... well, because I was thinking about it last night, and I'm kind of stressed out about it because with her going into her third trimester, she's due in November. she had asked me the last time to get him sedated because he was an ass the last time.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the nails being put in, like being hammered in.
Right.
He never liked that, and he was really bad last time. She wants me to have him sedated. I got a hold of a vet, not my vet that I normally use. I don't know if he'll come up to your place. And, they want to see him first before doing it, and it's like, I already owe 2 vets.
Right. And then you have to try to coordinate that with the vet and the farrier,
and that's the other thing.
Yeah.
They also said, so there's 2 things that they said, because I called them yesterday. The receptionist said the next available date would be the 23rd, which is after my vet or my farrier would be there, and then it would also be, they would have to put him out also. And I'm like,
because they have to do it through the vein.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to find the vein, and like a lot of vets, it depends on the vet, but you have to know your vet really well for them to let you do injections yourself.
Yeah, which my current vet, the one that I owe the most to right now because of the x-rays and everything, I think he would let me do it because my farrier said something about like getting an edible or something for him. Like there's something I could give him through feed.
Yeah.
But I have no clue. I've never had to put a horse out myself like that.
Right.
So, but he was really bad this last time. We even tried tying his foot up. He still fought it. Like, he was really bad. He was really bad. And I think he was just really sore on his feet. And with her, it's just for her safety. I might just have him pulled, and it will save me a good, like, $40.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just pull him. I haven't been riding as much lately. I'm still saving for gas right now, going back and forth until hopefully I can get a car and it'll be safe, easier on gas. But,
well, especially like we don't ride that much during winter anyway, so he doesn't need them going in the winter. And if we go on the gravel or whatever, just push him off in the ditch or something. I mean,
I've been like, I was thinking like if I keep him on, because so in his x-rays, I didn't get the x-rays, she did. And like I kind of wanted her to send them to me, but she didn't send them to me. They didn't get sent to me because some vets don't like them being posted, I guess is what she told me. But
that's interesting.
So, and I know you guys, the listeners, won't get to see this, but he's got kind of like, so his toe in the x-ray, what an elf slipper, and I'm trying to explain it so they can listen. You know what an elf shoe looks like how it kind of curls? He has like the tip of his foot in there, his toe.
His coffin.
Yeah, it's just kind of ever so, like the very tip of his toe is just ever so slightly, like just pointed up. And so the shoes are supposed to help bring it back down the way it's supposed to look. And so I have no clue what they look like. This would be his 3rd shoeing since having x-rays done. And I really want to keep him on to help, fix all that. But it's like, we're going into winter. He's going to get snowballs in his feet anyway. So I might just have her, I think I'm going to text her, especially if I can't get someone to do it. And it'd be money saving anyway. And be like, hey, can I just have you pull them?
For now, yeah.
And then springtime I'll have you put them back on because
a lot of people do that.
Yeah, and it's just not worth her coming out and risking herself while she's this far in.
Right.
And I can't get someone to, help me sedate him or however far it needs to be.
Yeah.
And then
that's a tough thing with building that relationship with the vet. 'Cause my vet, he'll let me pick up injections. I do all my shots pretty much myself. I've been with the same vet for so long that he just lets me pick up the shots and I just give them to the horse myself. But that's just vaccines. I don't know how to do the intravenous type shots or how to find the vein. But the barn I work at, the barn manager, she has sedatives on hand at all the time. So she can just get them from her vet because they know she knows how to do it intravenous. And they're not worried about their liability and stuff with her because she does it so much to so many horses. So it's kind of tough.
See, that's one thing. I had the last barn owner show me. She showed me once or twice how to do it, the little triangle in their neck that you want to get, I think, for intramuscular.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
But I'm so nervous when it comes to that because I know that there's like a single vein in there, which is probably closer towards the inside of their neck, like underneath. But I'm like, ever since animal science, I think it was, when we had to like practice on an orange or something. I don't remember. Like, that's the only time I've ever really done it. Besides, like, in cats, when you do it in their neck, when I worked at the animal shelter. But,
well, next time I have them out, I mean, you can come out when I do it. Because, like, there's really the only thing. So you draw, like, the triangle in their neck, and then you're supposed to stick it right in the middle of that triangle. So when you stick the needle in, you just pull back on the plunger a little bit. If you have blood, you're in the vein. So you want to put it back, re-stick them. If you pull back and it's nothing, like it can't pull anything, you're just in the muscle.
okay.
So then you can just put it in.
See, I get so nervous with it because I know if you get especially the wrong vein,
right,
you can freaking kill them like instantly. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but if you pull back on the plunger and like nothing's coming, like it's just like stuck, you're not in a vein or anything. You're just in the muscle. So you can just stick it right on in.
Because I know you could do it in like their butt and stuff too, but it's always easily.
How to do that.
Well, it's like right in their just by their tailhead. Yeah, pretty much. Where it's usually flip. Like,
I feel like if there's a chance for a horse to kick doing that, they'll do it then rather than in their neck.
But I've, especially from coming, I've always wanted to get into being a vet or a vet tech or something.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I've always been nervous about that. That was one of my biggest scares.
Don't like to do it.
Well, I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to help animals and get into that stuff, but it's just like, I've always been nervous, and especially as I got older, I'm like, what if I killed the animal? Like,
right.
What if I hit the wrong thing?
Well, and I had Emma, when I had Emma over down by,
She was a good girl.
When I had her over there, at that place that I had her, sorry, that was dumb.
That place that I had her.
Yeah. Well, so I had her in the barn one day, and I had picked up like a 5-way vaccine or whatever to give her, and I brought it down, and the barn owner was down there in the barn, and I was with Emma in her stall, and I just like stuck it in her neck, put it in, and was done. And so I was talking to the barn owner a little more, and she was like, "Did you do it already?" I was like, "Yeah. I just stuck it in and pushed the plunger." She's like, "Oh my gosh, I am way too anxious to be able to do that stuff," and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, it was literally a 5-second job. I just stuck it in her neck and pushed it.
What she showed me on, which horse was it? Can I say horse names?
Yeah.
Okay, which horse was it? I think it was Sophia. That was the horse. It was either Sophia or Buttons she showed me. And she showed me the triangle and she put it in. She literally had no problem to put that in her neck.
No, it wasn't her. It was the barn I had her at before that.
Yeah. I didn't know you had Emma down there.
Yeah, because when I first traded Sarah for Emma, I had her there, and then she was so skinny and wouldn't put on any weight, so I took her over to
that place I was talking about. Okay,
to where you were at.
The same barn that you had that what was his name? That one pony.
Oh, Mojo. Yeah.
Yeah, Mojo. Yeah, I was like, what was his name?
Yes.
I'm glad you knew what I was talking about.
Oh, I don't think I told you. I'm getting a donkey for training.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god, no way!
And his name is Mojo. That's what made me think of it.
Oh, no way.
So
that's awesome.
I'm getting a donkey in training next
I'm excited.
Week from...
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he has one that he's not sure if he wants to sell it or keep it. So he wants to put a month on it as a refresher. It's already broke. But he hasn't ridden him much. And he's got this other John donkey that just beats the shit out of him. So he's had him separated. And he's like, I don't know if I'm going to sell him or if I'm going to keep him. But I like to put a month on him. And then if I need to sell him, we'll sell him or whatever. But yeah. So probably next week or something I'll drive down there and get him. But yeah.
Now I've heard...
Donk.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to see him. Oh my god.
I went and looked at him. He's really sweet.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. He's
big,
oh my god.
too. Like he's like as big as Sugar. I mean, he's a big donkey. Not like a little donkey.
So he's not I think are they, so is he a standard?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
A mammoth, maybe?
No, a mammoth it would be like the size of what, probably the size of Cash.
Okay. So maybe not that.
Or bigger. Like, he would probably be bigger.
Well, I thought that he did mammoth donkeys, but maybe he's got other ones too.
Mammoths are huge.
Yeah.
Have you seen Melinda's?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a mammoth.
Yeah.
The great big brown one. That's a mammoth. Like, they're huge. They're
fun.
fun.
He's gonna come for a month, and like I don't have a ton of experience with donkeys.
Well, that's where I was, not to cut you off, but that's where I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
I've heard that they are different in training with horses.
And I asked him about it, and he was like, really, they're just so much smarter than a horse. And he's like,
because they're stubborn.
Well, but I think he says they retain information a lot better. So like, if you let him get away with something once, he'll probably remember it the next time. So it's kind of like, they're not necessarily stubborn. It's more like they learn to get away with something and then they'll stick to it.
Oh,
so it's like if you're hard on them and you don't let them
get away with stuff.
Yeah, let them be assholes. Then he says there's so much money in donkeys. He's like, you get a weanling donkey these days and you can sell them online for $3,500. Not even papered or anything. There's like grade donkeys. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Why am I not getting into donkeys or something? He's like, there's a lot of money in donkeys anymore. Well, I'm like, what the hell?
A lot of people use them for protection for their herds, like either sheep or even alpacas and llamas and stuff. Like they're protection too, but they still get donkeys for them. Yeah. Like even like any animal that they have, they usually throw a donkey or something in there because they're protection.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. But I got Stella and Ethel moved around today, so I got my pens open again, those small pens. So
are they getting along?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I threw them in together, and like they've been next to each other, of course, for like months now. But yeah, I threw them in together, and they pretty much like looked at each other, like acknowledged they were there, and then just assumed a position around the pail. They didn't give a fuck. They were like, okay. Oh, and I fed them grain. Excited. I fed them grain before I came here today, and they shared a bucket, and which probably won't be that way forever. But they shared a bucket, and I was like, Ethel, you can come down here to this bucket. And they just shared one. So.
Aw. Did you leave the other one there too, or?
Yeah, and so they can clean it both up. But so I have Stella and Ethel together now. And then I might move BB over there into that group too, because BB's also a hard keeper. Mm-hmm. So I can just give them all grain in the morning and just be done with it. And if I get like some solid alfalfa bales or something, those three will benefit the most off of that. And then potentially, if I move BB out of that group of 4, I could put Freedom up in that group of 4, because Freedom and Hazel are going to be such easy keepers that. They don't even need grain. Mm-hmm. Hazel, I just give grain because she gets one supplement, which she probably doesn't even need anymore, but they don't need to really have grain at all. So,
So did you move? Did you move Freedom today too?
Yet. Freedom, like, I don't know. She's kind of stupid.
What?
She does a lot of stupid shit. I don't know if I told you.
You said you were gonna take her on a trail ride, and she ripped back 3 times and broke the last 3 ropes.
I went on a ride. I was contemplating taking her. The previous owner says she gets a little stupid on trails because she gets spooky and stuff. But that day, the day before actually, I got her out to just brush her off and hang out with her. She pulled back, which the owner also told me that she does that sometimes. But she did it that day. She did it 3 times and snapped to the lead rope 3 times because, like, when I was watching her doing it, she has figured out that if she leans back and pulls hard enough, she will snap it.
That's why she keeps doing it.
Yes. So every time she did it, she just knew she would snap the rope if she pulled hard enough.
You know what you need to do?
What?
That rubber tire method.
I thought about that. I'm contemplating, honestly, just putting one of those heavy-ass tow ropes I have around the tree, and I'll just let her pull on that for a while.
Do it.
And you know what? I know some people hate on that, like it's so cruel and inhumane to let a horse pull. But with a horse like this, it's not like she hasn't been taught how to give to pressure. She's 14 years old and she's been broke forever. She knows.
She's doing it on purpose because she knows she can get away with it. She
can break it.
Exactly.
Yeah, she
figured it
out.
She's
heavy enough to break it. Mm-hmm. So I'm contemplating doing that because she does that type of dumb stuff. But then, like, I moved the goats into the new pasture I've been fencing in. Mm-hmm. So I moved them over there to start letting them let them eat it down. And I just walked them by, and she just starts running, pacing back and forth at the fence, just almost like a stallion. Like, she's just going crazy that I'm walking the goats by.
Is she in heat?
No, I think it's just that she's been alone for so long. She's been an only horse at her previous home for years. And I think she just literally doesn't know how to act in a herd. And so literally just me walking these goats by, she's going fucking nuts at the fact that they're in her presence and doesn't know what to do with herself. So I'm contemplating like putting her up there in that group with Hazel, because I know that if she tries, I mean, Hazel's pretty tough. She'll beat the shit out of her back if she wants to have a fight. I'm worried about Chance. You know, I think Rodeo will stay out of the drama, but you know, if she's going to play boss mare, then Hazel will play it back pretty much. But I don't know. I worry about her getting really buddy sour. Because she has not been in a herd for so long that she won't know how to be detached from a herd once she integrates herself. So I don't know. It's kind of I mean, she's going to have to be moved out of there at some point before winter, but.
Well, you're more than welcome to put them in with my guys if you feel that they would get along okay and everything. Because, you know, my two are like, you know.
Cash will probably put up with her shit.
Oh, yeah, don't probably become boyfriend, girlfriend. He's freaking Polly. Yeah. You know, he gets along with everybody. Oh, everybody's my girlfriend.
Right. So, I don't know.
No, I don't have a problem with that if you want to put anybody in there with them, you know. Okay. I don't care, so.
But. Well, I've contemplated putting her in with Sugar and Luna, too.
You know, Sugar would beat her ass if she wanted to.
Yeah, she might. But Sugar, she's still, like, a little bit lame. Not really, but, I mean, she's doing pretty good, but I don't know. She's so much bigger than Sugar, I'd hate to see her, you know, take a real whale at Sugar and fucking break her leg or some shit, but I don't know. I'm sure I'll put her somewhere. I just haven't really decided where I want to do it yet, but.
I think if she's been out by herself for so long, I think she'd probably be lower in the herd before she becomes anywhere higher. I think she'd be having to figure out, how does this work again?
Right. Yeah, so, I don't know. I'll have to experiment a little bit, but yeah, she just acts so stupid when, like, just literally walking anybody by, or like when I'll put them out in the yard to eat and then I'll put them away. I mean, she'll just yell and yell and yell. And because she just like it's almost like stresses her out, the other horses moving and going. And
I noticed that the last time I was out there, what was I doing? I don't even remember what I was doing, but I let April out to graze a little bit while I was working with Cash or whatever the hell I was doing, feeding her or something. And I noticed she was out there like just trying to talk to her, and it's like, April does not give two shits about you. She's literally over here by the vehicles eating because that's where she finds the grass. And
she has paste in the round pen. I don't know if you've noticed in the round pen, but she's dug a huge rut. Really? From just like pacing back and forth that way. Or I don't know what she's doing, but she's got these big mounds built up on each side where it looks like she's just dug a rut.
Really? Yeah, I didn't go down there, so I didn't see it, but.
So, I don't know. I mean, I hope like she'll come out of it in time. But, like, it's a little nerve-wracking.
I'm sure once you get her integrated with somebody.
She's a big horse. Like,
she is.
I mean, she's a lot to handle. So, like, a horse like that's learned how to break shit and how to get away with shit. I actually am considering trading her for EPM. Because I know a lot of people are doing that these days because it seems to help with horses that have kind of erratic behaviors and spooky behaviors. Sometimes it's a side effect of, like, the very small percentage of EPM that they're carrying.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know a lot about it yet. I might not do it, especially if it's real expensive, but.
So, I haven't heard much about that.
So, yeah.
We have to let me know how that goes, because I haven't heard much about that. But then again, I've been mostly on the side of ducks the last, like, week. Yeah. So, I've been looking at a lot of horse stuff other than, like, certain training things, and that's really about it, so.
Yeah. Well, we're at an hour and 45 minutes.
Really? Oh my gosh, that's pretty long.
So we should probably go ahead and wrap it up. And I have to pee so
Oh my god, so do I.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. But thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed this and catching up with us. Mel is probably going to make more homesteading TikTok type stuff. So go follow Mel on TikTok.
Oh, you want me to plug myself? Oh my gosh. Which one? The homesteading one I just made today?
Well, whatever you're going to post on.
Okay, well, right now I'm posting to my own, which is at, oh shoot, I don't even remember.
I think it's just Mel_Ford, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I think that's my Snapchat.
Oh, sorry.
At TrapperGirl19 is my personal one that I am currently posting to. And then I made the other one today because we're just getting started. It may not be posted to a whole lot just yet.
I'll put them down below.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I'll just put them down below in the description. So go follow Mel for her homesteading adventures and follow me too.
Yeah.
So
M&J Farms is what it is.
there you go. M&J Farms.
Joe and I on for the picture. There you go.
All right, we're going to get off here. So thanks for listening, horse friends.
Follow Michaela. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, what she said. And we'll see you in the next episode, hopefully with Marissa. So
yeah.
thanks, guys.
Can't wait to listen to that.
Bye.